Hi, my name's Jamie Humphries and welcome to Guitar Interactive magazine, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Marshall MG50DFX, and we're going to be going through some of the features and checking out some of the tones that you are available to achieve with this very compact 50-watt amplifier. Now, to kick things off, let's look at the layout of the front panel. It's basically a 4-channel amplifier. You can access each channel using the controls on the front of the amplifier or with an optional foot switch. The amp consists of a clean and a crunch for the first 2 channels, and then we have an overdrive which also has two different levels of overdrive, so probably more of a classic overdrive and then a much more modern high gain sound. Control wise, we have a gain control, bass, middle and treble. Then we have our reverb control. We have an on-off button there for the reverb that you can click it in and out. The same with the controls here to change the channels as well. If I hold the clean channel button in, green, that's clean, red, that's crunch. And then we have the overdrive, so the different degrees of overdrive as well, 2 different colors there. We've got the level control, so once the reverb is kicked in, we can adjust the amount of reverb that you're applying to your sound by turning it all the way up, obviously, and everything in between. Then we have a channel volume as well, and the channel volume can be used to set the stored levels of each of the individual channels, so that when you're swapping, you can have, your clean channel at one level, bring up your crunch channel a little bit, and obviously aim to have maybe a heavy distorted sound, and then your lead channel higher than all of them to give you a nice boost when you're soloing. Next along, this is quite an interesting feature here of the amplifier. We've got the effects button. When we kick that in, that activates the effects engine, and we have some modulation here. Our main types of modulation: flanger, phaser and chorus, and we also have a delay control as well. And with the delay, we have a tap tempo button. And then overall, we have a global control, which is the master volume, which will raise the level accordingly to how each one of the presets has been stored. So if you've stored them with different levels of volume going between clean crunch, classic crunch and like more of a high gain modern sound, as you turn up the master volume, everything will raise at a consistent level, and obviously your volume changes through your channel changes will remain the same, but just obviously a louder volume. And then we have here these 2 controls for basically the tuning for the tuner, and a store button which enables you to save your different sounds. We also have this button that takes it between a manual and preset mode. Now, the preset mode basically means that we're operating the preset channels, how the channels would be stored and sounded when they were programmed. So, set your sound up and then store the sound, and that sound will be recorded regardless of how these controls are set. If you then hit the button so that you're in the manual mode, the buttons on the front or the knobs on the front, whatever position they are at, is how the amplifier will sound. So that makes it operate more like a regular type of amplifier, whereby when you see the control set, the bass, the middle control at the moment is set halfway. That is how the sound will sound, with the middle there. Whereas if you go into the preset mode, although the control might be there when you look at it, the actual sound, the mid might be scooped or boosted. So depending on how you want to look at the amplifier and depending how you want to operate the controls, that depends on how you have that switch. Okay, let's take a look a little closer at the damping control. And what the damping does, it actually changes the sound of the power amp. So when the light is off, we have a more classic power amp. Push it in, and it has the voicing of a slightly more modern sounding power amp, so a little bit brighter sounding. If we then hold that button in for more than 2 seconds, it will access between the preset and the manual modes that we talked about a little while ago. You've got the store button at the end there, which enables you to store your 4 preset patches. And if you hold those 2 buttons in together, then you will be able to access the tuner. Obviously we have the power switch on the end here and your input jack. And here we have the line out, which is a mini jack that you can run headphones with. We've also got an external effects button that I forgot to mention, which you push that in and that activates the effects loop. On the back we have a foot switch control, input jack, and also we have an MP3 line-ins for CD players, iPods, etc., so that you can use it for jamming along. So on the surface, straight away you can see it's quite a lot for you to take in. Might take you a little while to get used to some of the controls, the double function holding the controls. One of the things that I found just from experimenting with it was that if once getting used to the controls, I accidentally stored it with the volume down, I couldn't work out how I couldn't get any volume through the amplifier. So that's not to say that once you get used to these controls, it is a very versatile little amplifier. It's just possibly a little bit more involved than a regular amplifier where everything's just, you know, on the surface. But like I said, once you dig deep into some of these multi-function controls, you can produce some very useful tones and, you know, a great sounding amp for either practicing at home, rehearsals, or small gigs. Anyway, let's now take a listen to some of the tones, and let's kick off with just a basic clean tone. We're going to take a listen to a basic clean tone now. I've got the gain control probably at about 11 o'clock, bass the same, mid-range halfway, and I've dialed off a bit of treble around about 10 o'clock. And if I just play some simple chords, I'm just using neck and middle position on my guitar, so a classic S-type out of phase sound. Okay, we can maybe back off a little bit of that bottom end, push the treble a bit, scoop the mid, get a little bit more of a lush. Slightly thinner tone, which sounds really nice. If I then engage this damping control, you can hear it's got a slightly more scooped. That really does make quite a lot of difference actually to the sound, so I like that quite a lot, adding the more modern sounding power amp to the cleans. Let's have a listen to the reverb. I'm going to engage the reverb control, and I'm just going to push that up about halfway. It's probably more reverb than I would use, but just muted strings. Nice studio quality sounding digital reverb. Now let's engage the effects button and turn up the chorus control. I'm just going to play some open strings so you can hear me dialing it in. So the more we push it, the more intense the sound becomes. Now I'm going to bring in some delay. So push the delay mix button up, and I can push the tap. You can hear you're getting some quite nice, lush, affected tones out of the amplifier now. You can hear that nice delay that we've added. I'm just going to back the delay off for a moment and just listen to some of the other modulation sounds that we can get. I'm going to go up to the phaser sound now. Obviously that will give you kind of funky sounds. Or if I go onto the bridge pickup, maybe some slightly more of your old Pink Floyd tones. And then we can push that round again and we get into the flanger sound. More intense. So you can hear straight away we're getting quite a lot of different effects just from turning this dial. I'm only skimming the surface of the possibilities. Obviously it's up to you to fine tune this to the type of music and type of sounds that you're hearing that you want to experiment with. Right, I'm now going to hit the clean button again, and that's now accessed the crunch. And if I play a chord, what I'm now going to do is just hit the damping control. You can hear straight away. I'm going to turn down a little bit of our reverb, a little bit swamped. And just bring up the master volume ever so slightly, or the channel volume should I say. I'm going to dial in a bit of extra bottom end. You can hear the control working there, bit of mid, pull off a bit of top. Probably a little bit too thick. So we've got quite an authentic sort of classic rock tone going on with the amplifier now. Probably a little bit too much reverb. And obviously the gain there is only on around about 11 o'clock, and we could push that and probably get that quite... If I put in the phaser, we might be hitting sort of Van Halen sort of territory with some of the tones that we're getting there. Anyway, let's now move on to the next channel, and we've got our different overdrive channels, so let's check those ones out. Okay, now we're on the green light on our overdrive channel, and we're into a bit more of a kind of classic sounding crunch. And I can push that up quite a bit. Go on the neck pickup, get it a bit Hendrixy. And if I can probably pull off a little bit of the bottom end, and let's have a listen if I click in now the damping control. You can definitely hear it's got that more scooped, the bottom end comes up, the top end comes up, and definitely pulls the middle out. So now I'm going to hit the overdrive button into the red, and this will be our high gain. If I just take the dampening control out, And we can also push the gain up quite a bit on that. And I'm going to bring in a bit of delay as well. So, nice lead tone. So there you have it, the Marshall MG50DFX, lovely little compact amplifier. One last thing I should mention is that this rather sturdy, good size combo does house a 1x12 speaker, and you can unplug that on the back and run it into an extension cab. So you can stick it into a 4x12 or a 2x12, which give it a lot more oomph and a lot more bottom end. A lot of features there. I don't really know what else you could ask for. Great cleans and crunches. You know, your crunch sounds are going to range from classic bluesy tones, indie tones, up to more modern rock and metal sounds. We've also got digital reverb, nice quality reverb, and we've got all of the modulations, or the main modulations, flanger, chorus and phaser, and a decent digital delay all in one box. And obviously you can save that as well. MP3 input, headphones, effects loop to run other external effects units, all in a very compact and well priced combo. So if you're looking for something for at home to rehearse with a band, and even get out on some gigs, the MG50DFX definitely gets a bit of a thumbs up from us here at Guitar Interactive. So that concludes my roundup of the MG50DFX. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you soon.